Hello and welcome back to another one of our episodes. And today we're going to start off exactly where we left off last time. We're going to start off by fighting the Undead Legion, which is the boss for the Farron Keep area. And I wanted to go ahead and show you the stats that I'm going to fight them with. I'm currently at level 45. And the equipment that I have on. I'm going to be using the Executioner's Greatsword, level 4, and I'll change out this Poison Bite ring to this Flame Stone Plate ring because they're going to do a bit of fire damage in some of their attacks. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and head over to Farron Keep Perimeter. And before we head over there, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Up until now, most of the bosses have been pretty easy to deal with, but this is going to be a step up above those bosses. They're not particularly hard, but they could be definitely more challenging than anything we've faced so far. So we are going to take off in this direction, and those two dark wraiths are going to spawn on our left. We're going to take this path to the right and just allow them to battle those Gru that are up ahead. This fight is divided into two segments. In the first phase of the battle, you're going to start off facing one enemy, and you want to get as many hits in as possible, because after about 20 seconds, a second enemy is going to spawn in, and they are going to help each other out and try to defeat you. Once that second enemy pops up, I usually tend to wait them out, because after another 20 seconds, a third Undead Legion is going to spawn in, and he is not going to have an affiliation with you or either of the two enemies that you're going to be fighting. However, he is going to start to battle whoever is closest to it. He spawns in towards the middle of the room, so after the second enemy spawns in, you want to get farther away from the middle of the room than the other two enemies. That way, it starts to attack them instead of you. And if you have been paying attention, you will recognize the outfit that they're wearing. They're actually dressed very similarly to Hawkwood. So starting off in the fight, this guy is going to charge at you. You want to try and get behind him, but I find that they also stagger very easily. So if you have difficulty trying to get behind this guy, I recommend just hitting him once or twice. There is that second enemy that is going to try to help him out. I try to stay locked into the first enemy because he's the only one that's actually going to take damage as the boss damage. If you damage that second NPC, he will not take any damage. You'll also notice that the third NPC started to attack the other guy, and it allowed me to get a quick kill on the enemy that we started off with. And that will go ahead and trigger the second part of the fight. I find that the easiest way to deal with this next part of the fight is to run away and bait out this 3-hit combo that he does. The ending of that 3-hit combo leaves him very vulnerable for a backstab if you know what you're looking for. And I'll let you know when I see the start of that 3-hit combo. So keep your spacing here. His attacks are very deceiving in terms of range. They have a lot more range than you initially think. He's also prone to stagger, but he tends to back away from it fairly easily, so I wouldn't try to hit him too many times with your weapon. And here is the start of that 3-hit combo. There you go, and you see that if you're waiting for it, it's easy to get a backstab along with a few hits in. And what we're going to do now is we're going to keep running away until we see him try to use that combo again. There's that 3-hit combo and an easy backstab for the win. Now I found this fight to be really easy with the Greatsword. I've tried it before with a regular straight sword, and it was much harder only because you take less damage per hit. Once we've finished him off, we're going to go ahead and light this bonfire, and we'll head off to the next area, which is pretty similar to your first encounter with Mohg. All you have to do is get close to the altar, and it will reveal an entrance into the catacombs. The catacombs are going to feature a slew of skeletal enemies, which are very weak to strike damage. We're going to go a little farther up ahead, but I wanted you guys to notice this ball of undead enemies up ahead, right above that doorway. And we're going to try to avoid that ball of enemies there. It's going to fall on top of this bridge and prevent us from using it. It's set up as a trap, so if you're not aware of it, it might grab you from behind. Here's one of these skeletal enemies. I wanted you to notice how easily it falls apart to strike damage, and to notice the glowing white eyeballs. If it has white glowing eyes, it means that after you kill it one time, it will reassemble itself and try to kill you again. So always pay attention to the color eyes that a particular skeletal enemy has, and it'll help you out in the long run. Generally, the skeletal enemies here are arranged in two different varieties. The first one are the weaker ones, but the clothed skeletal enemies, like the one that was on the bridge, are much harder. Of course, with a strike weapon, it's easy to stagger them. All you have to do is hit them really hard, and they will continually fall due to them being skeletons, of course. Also, I would be very careful with these falchion wielding enemies. They very easily parry you with their falchion. If you see them blocking with them, I would try to do an unparryable attack, such as a two-handed heavy weapon charge attack. That will prevent them from actually hurting you. And I'm gonna step out onto the ledge here just so that you could see this trap that is being set up for me down below. There is one enemy hidden in this corner, a second enemy by the doorway, and two little skeletons that are not going to assemble until I get close to them. So we'll try to take them out one by one instead of running in there. Starting with these two smaller enemies. After I've taken care of them, that enemy that was hiding in the corner is going to come after me. And we want to take them up at the top of the stairs. There we go. And finally we could take out this third guy. Easy peasy. Pick up a few items here as well. Now we're gonna go in this direction, and there's a different enemy here. This one is very fast, and it can be difficult if you don't have a strike weapon. But since I am using a strike weapon, you see that every time I hit him, he just falls to the ground. And I could keep him staggered like that infinitely, as long as I have the stamina to do it. So we're gonna go past this illusionary wall. You'll notice that this enemy up ahead has white glowing eyes, meaning that you have to kill it 2 times. There we go. Don't let that surprise you. And we find a pyromancy tome. You could give that tome to our pyromancy teacher back at Firelink Shrine, and he will increase the amount of pyromancies he has in his inventory. I'm going to go back. I think there's one more item in this direction. But this is really just a big loop. It goes back to the beginning of where we started. If you head up these stairs, we'll be at the entrance location, and we'll head off from there. Oh, also be very careful with these traps. These catacombs have traps in the middle of the corridors, such as this block. When you press them, those arrows go flying by, similar to the catacomb areas inside of Elden Ring. Just be aware that you could dodge into the walls and the arrows will completely miss you. So this doorway here, this is the doorway that is kind of trapped with that big ball of skeletal enemies up above. That's closed off to us for now, but I'll show you how to get in there pretty easily. Alright, we'll take care of all of these. And around the corner here, we're gonna see a familiar face. Let's go ahead and talk to Henri.
Oh, hello. How very fortunate. Have you seen my companion, Horace? To my shame, I was snared by a trap and we've become separated. I've not been able to find him since.
Unfortunately, we have
Yes,
not
I see.
seen for Horace.
Horace is a valiant knight. He can look after himself, no question. He's probably searching for me right now, with twice the resolve. If you happen upon him, please tell him that I remain in the catacombs and will lay prism stones to guide him, as always. Please send him my word, I beg of you. May the flames guide your way.
Alright, as soon as we walk out this doorway, there's going to be a crystal lizard. I don't really fight this crystal lizard, I just let him fall off the ledge. And once he falls off the ledge, he ends up dying and giving us the reward regardless of whether we hit him or not. The reason I don't really go after him is because it's possible for me to fall off the ledge. Now, if you look from here, you'll notice that there is a path from the entrance that we could just fall down and make it to the end of the bridge. And that's where we're going to go to now. By using this path, we can avoid the trap of... We can avoid that rolling ball trap. And I'll show you what it looks like right now. So we're going to head down in this direction here. And go down these series of platforms. And once we make it down to this location, that ball is going to fall down and it's going to start rolling around, blocking the entrance. And you'll see that the skeletal enemies are also susceptible to that ball's damage. The way to get rid of that ball is usually by finding the skeleton that's wearing the worker hat, such as that guy. Once you kill him, you see that the ball kind of disintegrates the next time that it hits a wall. Let's go ahead and pick up this item here. There's going to be a few more enemies up ahead. And they're going to be tossing these little urns that spew out very slow homing missiles, but they can be very annoying. Oh, you just saw him parry me. Those Falchion enemies tend to do that, especially when they start blocking. Just be careful with that. And you'll also notice that one of the enemies has those glowing white eyes. So we'll wait for him to revive and then we'll kill him again. Boom. Alright, so there's a few items inside of this area that has a bunch of vases. But be careful because some of the pots, when you break them, they unleash those homing missiles. So try to avoid the vases that are covered. They have like this leather covering to them. Once you break them, they unleash that. And we find the Carthus Milkring ring. This is actually a very cool ring. I enjoy how it looks. It gives us 3 points in dexterity. And it also obscures our rolling. It doesn't give us any extra iframes. It just looks kind of cool. Plus, it gives us 3 in dexterity. So 3 points are always cool with me. There's another booby trap here on the ground. Be careful with it. And one of those big skeletons in the middle there, but there's also 2 little skeletons that have not assembled. So I'm gonna try to lure them over here. Except this guy doesn't seem to be cooperating. Let's see if I could get him over here. Never mind. We'll just fight the big guy on this location here. You can also use the booby trap to your advantage here. You see that the big guy took some damage from that booby trap, making him easier to fight. And don't forget, this guy also had white glowing eyes, so wait for him to reassemble and then kill him again. There we go. Now we'll take out the two little skeletons. Alright, and up ahead, there's going to be two more of those big enemies and a booby trap. Now, this booby trap, I don't know why, it doesn't actually hurt these enemies, so you're going to have to lure them out one by one and deal with them that way. Just be aware that there's a booby trap there. Now, if you notice up ahead where that item is, there's a hole in the ground that you could fall into. You want to avoid that hole. In the midst of the fight, you might roll there accidentally and fall over. And you don't want that to happen because it's pretty deadly down there. We're going to go around it for now. And enter this hallway here. Be careful because there's going to be another one of those rolling balls here. After it passes by, you could head on to the halfway of the corridor and turn the corner where you will find the next bonfire. We're not going to progress very much further than this today, but I wanted to show you guys a few conversations in Firelink Shrine to some of the recurring NPCs that have shown up there. The first one we're going to talk to is Hawkwood. He's going to give us some more insight on the Farron Undead Legion. You'll notice that the armor that he's wearing is actually the Undead Legion armor. I'm not particularly sure why he has it on. I think it's assumed that he is a deserter from the Undead Legion.
Then you're a brasher lad than I thought. You can make better use of this. I don't need it. Not now I've flown the coop. The Undead Legion of Farron is a caravan sworn by wolf's blood to contain the abyss. The Legion will bury a kingdom at the first sign of exposure. Joyous bunch, really. Gaining admission to the Legion is a matter of some ceremony. Inside their keep, snuffing out the flame, even accursed undead want. I pity the sorry soul. Gaining admission to the Legion. Eve, you oft the Lords of Cinder, the Undead Legion. So that's how they're delivered to their thrones. I pity the sorry souls. Is that really Lordship's last reward? I failed to thank you for helping them find their final resting place. I pity the sorry souls. Is that really Lordship's last reward?
So let's go ahead and place the Undead Legion's ashes onto the throne now. And you could do that simply by walking up to the throne and placing right on there. The Undead Legion throne is the one that has all of the swords on it. after you kill the Undead Legion, if you like the way that their armor looks, you could go to the Shrine Handmaiden, and she will have their armor available to purchase. But what we're actually going to do is we're going to turn in some ashes that we got in the previous video. They were the Dream Chasers ashes. And by turning in these ashes, we will get Sirris of the Sunless Realm to spawn back into
Ashen One, what
the
woeful
Firelink
umbral
Shrine.
ash is this? This barren dust, stuff of a fool, won't yield aught. Where didst thou happen upon the stuff? Tell me for the sport. Oh yes, I see. Clinging to lofty dreams in this dying world, more's the pity. It must come from one most foolish indeed. Wouldst thou not agree?
And the way that we could get Sirris to spawn back in there is by reloading Firelink Shrine. There she is. Let's go ahead and talk to her.
Hello again. I have since heard a great deal about you. For one, that you are most gentle of heart. I too am bound by duty, but can offer you my sign. I hear that cordial intrusion lays the path to embers. If I can be of help, by all means, do call upon me. Blessing of the moon upon your journey.
It's curious that she changes her tune after we turn in those ashes to the fire, to the Shrine Handmaiden.
Blessing of the moon upon your journey.
It kind of makes you assume that she has some sort of relation with the Shrine Handmaiden.
Ah, I know you. Been some time. I just dropped in to see how she's getting on. Now, what are you playing at with this circus? This cesspool of doddering old folk and degenerates? Couldn't be better. She must fit in perfectly here. This place is a cesspool of doddering old folk and degenerates. Couldn't hope for better. She must fit in perfectly here.
Now we're gonna go ahead and talk to Ludlith, and he will have some new items available for us after we've killed a few boss souls.
Aha, thou art returned, and a fine day it is. So, happened upon any twisted souls?
I really recommend one of these swords, especially for beginner players. They are both really good and they have very good weapon arts. The first one is the Farron Greatsword. The Farron Greatsword is actually an ultra greatsword. It's a paired weapon, but it is actually paired with a small dagger that enables you to parry when dual wielded. Because it's based on dexterity, it is highly mobile and highly efficient, and it's easy to use because its weapon art is a similar moveset to that of the Undead Legions that we fought in this video. I remember in my first playthrough, I absolutely fell in love with this weapon, and I used it all the way to endgame. The only bad thing about this weapon is that it's very easily parried if you do PvP with it. The next greatsword is the Wolf Knight's Greatsword, which is also an excellent weapon. It looks almost exactly identical, except that it does not have the parrying knife, and it has a slightly different moveset. The weapon art is also extremely easy to use, and in some ways more versatile than the Farron Greatsword. Just note that the weapon art and the spin move can also be parried in PvP. Both of these weapons do extra bonus damage to abyssal foes, which include abyss bosses, which we will be dealing with later on in this walkthrough. Either of these weapons are absolutely excellent weapons. They scale perfectly as quality weapons. I say that they are beginner weapons only because they are very easy to use, but they can in fact be used very efficiently by advanced players to New Game Plus and beyond.
Treat the Firekeeper not with discourtesy. She is much like thee, prisoners both, kept to link the fire.
Lastly, we're going to talk to Yuria, and she's going to have some pretty interesting dialogue for us now.
Speak thy desire, honorable Lord of Hollows.
Our lord and liege, knowest thou of a maid named Anri? She is hollow, and will join thee in wedlock. A fellow of mine guides her at this moment. When the time is ripe, thou mayst make thy salutations. For what lord taketh no spouse?
Pretty interesting conversation there. She says that she wants us
Till
to
we
take
meet again.
Henri as our spouse.
May the dark sigil guide thee.
And a little bit of fun fact, Henri is actually female if your character is male. And if you choose to play as a female character, Henri has a male voice. So we will continue that storyline a little bit later. For now, I think we are going to leave it here. We've entered into the Catacombs of Carthus, and we will continue this journey on a later date. Thank you for joining us again, and we will catch you later. Bye bye.